Hello, fellow tennis fans. This is Tennis Universe, and today I'll be discussing Federer's 2016 year so far in review. So, let's get to the video right now. Let's look at his original 2016 schedule, and I'll give my thoughts about what I think about him. So, he was scheduled to play in Brisbane, a tournament that he played since 2014, and then obviously the Australian Open. He then was scheduled for a new added tournament to his schedule, Rotterdam, in which he's won 2 times before. And then in Dubai, which he's won 7 times before and is very familiar to. He's then scheduled to play in India and Wales, in which he reached the final 2 consecutive years, and then obviously in Roland Garros. But here's the thing, in between India and Wales and Roland Garros, there are no tournaments and no clay court warm-up tournaments for Roland Garros, which is surprising considering the fact he played in 5 clay court tournaments last year, while this year he's playing only in 1. Last year he played in Monte Carlo, Madrid and Rome, Roland Garros, and Istanbul. Now, to the grass court season. He's adding a new grass court tournament to his schedule in Stuttgart. And then a tournament which he's won 8 times, Halle. And then obviously the Wimbledon Championships. Starting off the summer swing is playing in the Canada Masters, which this year will be held in Toronto. And then in the Summer Olympics in Rio, looking to hoist the gold medal. And then in Cincinnati, which he's won 7 times and is 2-time defending champion. And then obviously the US Open. Then scheduled to play in hardcourt tournament Shanghai, and then in his hometown tournament Basel. And then in the Paris Masters held indoor in Bercy. And hopefully, if he accumulates enough points, he'll play in the World Tour Finals. Now, his new and current schedule so far. Brisbane, in which he lost the final to Milos Raonic, and then the Australian Open, which he lost in the semifinals to Novak Djokovic. He then withdrew from Rotterdam, Dubai, and India and Wales due to knee surgery and knee injury right after the semifinal with Djokovic. He then came back in Miami only to withdraw during the tournament due to a stomach virus. He then found resurgence in Monte Carlo, in which he reached the quarterfinals, but lost to Tsonga, despite being 2 points away from victory, to the semifinals and could have accumulated a Monte Carlo win. He then plays in Rome, in which he beats Zverev, but then loses to rising star Thiem. In between these tournaments, he didn't play in Madrid due to back injury, which he had experienced in Monte Carlo. He then has to sadly withdraw from the French Open, which means his 65 consecutive Grand Slam appearance is over, and he hasn't played in the French Open since 1998. Then comes back in Stuttgart, only to lose in the semifinals to future champion Thiem. And then plays in Halle in order to accumulate some points, but ends up losing to Zverev, who would be the eventual finalist. So now, the rest of the schedule is lurking for him. Hopefully, he will have some good results at Wimbledon and turn back the season. Win a few titles, hopefully the Olympic gold and the Wimbledon Championships, and in his hometown in Basel and Cincinnati tournament as well. Now, this year has been sadly plagued by sicknesses and injuries. For example, he played in Brisbane with the flu, which was not too major, as the flu can't really affect you that much. But it affected him a little bit, but he still reached the finals. He then withdrew from Dubai, Rotterdam, and Indian Wells due to knee surgery and the knee injury right after the Aussie semifinal. He withdrew during Miami due to a stomach virus, which was really unwanted. He then played it in Monte Carlo with experience loss, which means I'm saying he didn't play for a month, and he had some back problems. He withdrew from Madrid due to reoccurring back problems, and then played in Rome with some back problems, and lost at the end. He withdrew from the French Open due to the back problems, and that ended his 65 consecutive Grand Slam appearance. He then played in Stuttgart and Halle with little experience, which means he didn't play in about 2 months. Now, let's look at his record against some opponents. He's lost to rising stars 3 times this year. Thiem in Rome and in Stuttgart, and Zverev in Halle. He lost to Djokovic in the Aussie Open semifinals, and lost to Tsonga in Monte Carlo quarterfinals. But some good wins were that he beat rising star Thiem in Brisbane and, sadly, underachiever Dimitrov in Brisbane once again, and in the Aussie Open. So, let's look at the predictions I made way back in the beginning of this year. I predicted that he would win the Summer Olympics, Cincinnati, Rotterdam, Dubai, Halle and Basel, and Brisbane and Stuttgart, which would mean 2 major tournaments and 6 minor tournaments. I predicted he'd be finals at the Aussie Open, Wimbledon, US Open, the World Tour Finals, Indian Wells, Rome, and Canada. Most of those losses would occur to Djokovic, sadly, which he's lost to multiple times last year and in 2014. Now my current predictions. He's had some awful losses, and this year has not been good. So I'm still predicting an Olympics win, and I'm not sure about the Cincinnati win, but it's definitely possible. And then in Basel. He'll probably play in some minor tournament to rank up some other points he lost in this year. He'll probably be finalist at Wimbledon or the US Open, if he manages to have a good draw and could beat Djokovic, which I would doubt. And then probably the World Tour Finals and a Masters final in Canada. So, the main question we have to ask ourselves is it over? Is this year the one where Roger Federer just has to retire? Let's look at why. He's lost to 3 rising stars this year, twice to Thiem and once to Zverev, a 19-year-old. And he's lost to some clearly beatable players, Tsonga, Thiem, Zverev, and Raonic. When I say Thiem and Zverev, even though they're much younger, Federer has beat younger stars before and definitely could have beat these people. He's also losing in tournaments that he usually wins in, for example, Brisbane and Halle. He withdrew from tournaments where he found success, Rotterdam, Dubai, Indian Wells, Rome, and the French Open. He's also facing multiple injuries and some sicknesses. And he is 34 years old, a record age for tennis playing. So, is it time to retire? Only time will tell. We'll see his future results. But in my opinion, if this continues to go the way it is right now, for the next year and a half or so, he definitely should retire. Although we would all like to see him win Wimbledon and the Olympics, that might not happen. Although I really want it to happen. Anyway, this is it. So thank you guys for watching my video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next video, which will be released tomorrow. Thank you, and bye. Salute.